Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, the PLP leader weighs in on majority rule holiday. We break down the murder stats of 2018. How are labor relations in the country? We speak with the minister. And the international president of Zeta Phi Beta pays a courtesy call on the Prime Minister.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us this Majority Rule Day. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Topping news tonight, Progressive Liberal Party leader Philip Davis says the country has undergone massive social change in the 52 years since majority rule. But he says while a lot has been accomplished, there's still a long way to go. Jared Higgs has more.
It has been said to be the most significant event impacting the historical landscape of the Bahamas since emancipation.
Davis says there has been significant social change in the more than 50-plus years since the Progressive Liberal Party toppled the rule of the white minority United Bahamian Party. After a disappointing election loss in 1962, the PLP won an extremely close 1967 general election, marking the transition from a white minority government to black majority rule.
Socially, it's broken down the barriers, what I call the physical barriers for opportunities. However, I think we still have to move more to what I call our mental barriers, becoming more confident about ourselves, understanding who we are, and trying to get a better grip in the economic aspect of this society, because it is still dominated too much by just a few.
Davis says pre-majority rule history demonstrates that the United Bahamian Party was committed to white supremacist policies, pointing to the fact that black people in the country were explicitly excluded from certain institutions.
Hotels were public places, and as public places we were denied access to those hotels. And you're quite right, discrimination is alive and well. I mean, this is a discussion that we have very often when we talk about it, or when the issue arises. Everyone start talking about you playing their race card. It's not playing their race card. It is just understanding who we are and where we came from, right? And the scourge of discrimination between black and white, and the harm it did to the demographics of blacks, right, is unimaginable and immeasurable in a lot of ways.
While he opines that the country still has significant progress to make in the area of equality, Davis says the largest strides have been made in the field of education.
One of the plans, which was promulgated in a document prepared by Peter Knorr, was to continue the all-age school concept and not to allow and to keep access to education to persons under the age of 13 and 14. So when you're 13 or 14, you left school and got a job. Now, what kind of jobs you'll get at that age and with that kind of limited education? And that's one of the things that comes to mind in how access to education was made available to all.
The challenge now, he says, is motivating Bahamians to take advantage of those opportunities.
Now that it's made available and access is there, the question is how we get our people to embrace it and take the initiative to develop the initiative to want to be somebody. And even though they want to be somebody, sometimes their own circumstance hold them back. And so one of the biggest challenge we have going forward is how we remind people and let people know that they not to allow the circumstance in which they find themselves to limit their potential.
Majority Rule Day became a holiday in 2014. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
All right, thanks, Jared. Police making two major drug busts in the capital last night. According to reports, over 1,200 pounds of marijuana was seized in 2 separate incidents. In the first, just after 8 p.m., officers of the Drug Enforcement Unit went to a residence along St. Bart's Road in Golden Gates where they met a man standing near a white van who then ran when he saw the officers. He got away, but upon searching the van, police found 19 crocus bags and 1 taped package of suspected marijuana weighing 545 pounds with an estimated street value of $545,000. While the man standing near the van got away, 2 other men inside the residence were taken into custody. In the second incident, an hour later, police conducted the search of a property at Williams Drive off Cowpen Road and discovered 26 crocus bags and a cooler containing 656 pounds of suspected marijuana. The drugs have an estimated street value of $656,000. No arrests were made in that incident. Well, earlier this week, police reported a significant decrease in violent crimes in 2018. Murder was one of the categories that saw the sharpest decrease, with a 25% drop. And in this report, our Jasmine Brown takes a deeper look at the numbers.
Murders are often the most followed category of crime, and in 2018, the country recorded the lowest murder count since 2009. That's according to the 2018 crime statistics that were released by Police Commissioner Anthony Ferguson. Police recorded 91 murders in 2018, of which 88 were males and 3 were females. This represents a 25% decrease in killings compared to 122 murders in 2017. Ferguson says the positive results are no coincidence.
Last year, the Royal Bahamas Police Force conducted an analysis of the crime situation in our country and determined that adjustments to our approach to policing were necessary. So we immediately placed a workable plan into action.
Of those killings, 80 occurred on New Providence, 6 on Grand Bahama, and 5 on the Family Islands. 47 of those murders occurred in the streets, 18 in homes, 9 in bars and clubs, 4 in bushes, 2 on the beach, 2 in convenience stores, 1 in a school, and 1 in an abandoned building. June proved to be the deadliest month of 2018 with 14 murders. December and January were the second deadliest months with 12 murders each, while February was the third deadliest with 10 murders. Meantime, Friday, Saturday, and Tuesday were the deadliest days of the week as they recorded 18 murders each. Ferguson said the detection rate of these killings saw a significant increase when compared to previous years. Police were able to solve 67 or 73.63% of those incidents in 2018 compared to detection rates of 57.38% in 2017, 53.15% in 2016, and 46.5% in 2015.
With the recent new addition of officers and the deployment of new vehicles, you can expect to see a higher number of officers moving about on the streets to promote a level of security and to send clear messages to criminal elements that no longer will they be allowed to disrupt our communities, and that we will no longer, and there will be no hiding place for them. In other words, they will feel the presence of the police.
Ferguson says they could not have done it alone.
We partnered with our colleagues from the Royal Bahamas Defense Force and form a strong operational team to move about and attack the criminal element from all angles. The offensive tactics have yielded many arrests. We also expanded our intelligence in collaboration with our international partners, have strategically conducted a number of focused intelligence-driven operations comprising of major land, sea, and air assaults, targeting the criminal element in New Providence, Grand Bahama, Abaco, and surrounding areas that yielded positive results.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Thanks, Jasmine. Well, while some unions are still at the negotiating table, the Minister of Labor says the year has started off great and there is nothing unresolvable currently before his ministry. Julian Gray has more.
The Labor Minister is forecasting a great year for labor relations in the country, this following months of labor unrest in the latter part of 2018.
I think 2019 is starting off great. I'm very pleased with the attitude of the heads of all of the unions and also the heads of various government departments and the business community.
The Ministry of Labor was reeling with complaints coming from both public and private sector unions. Teachers at C.H. Reeves were in an uproar over mold in the classrooms. The hotel union was embroiled in a battle with Atlantis over a new shift system, and workers at Martin Salt had reached a stalemate in their negotiations with employers. Folks said they have resolved nearly all union concerns, with many of those unions withdrawing their strike threats.
With respect to the matter at Atlantis, that is basically settled. We have that settled. The union has withdrawn their threat to strike, so I'm very pleased to hear that. We are in talks with BTC. As you know, right before Christmas, there was an impromptu demonstration outside of BTC. We're in talks. There are no issues at BTC that are unresolvable. And we have not gotten to the point where they're threatening any industrial action, and I wish to compliment the president for that.
Now, while they may not be threatening to strike, the nurses are still at the table fighting with PHA to be completely rid of a new shift system.
But we are hopeful that we can get the issue resolved with respect to the shift system. As you know, the PHA board has already pushed back on the implementation of the shift system, but they deferred it instead of canceling their plans. And that was the issue from the president of the Nurses Union. She wants to see a full cancellation of the plans to implement a new shift system. So we are in talks to see if we can get that matter resolved.
It's unclear when those negotiations will be complete, and as those talks linger on, the acting labor director is sitting with the taxicab union to hear their cries before the situation escalates to the point of a strike.
But there are three major areas: the airport, Bahama, and Atlantis. And there are, I wouldn't say small issues, but there aren't any big issues. Let me give you an example. There is a complaint about the call-up system at Atlantis, that it is not fair to the taxi cab drivers. I don't want to get into the details of that, but that is something that we're working out. We're talking to Atlantis to get that worked out. We're talking to Mr. Sandy Sands at Bahama. They get the issues worked out there. And Mr. Minister Dionysius Diagala is dealing with the issues at NAD. But we're fairly certain that we can get those sorted out.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
Thanks, Jillian. The National Executive Board meeting of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated commenced today. It's the first time the gathering is being held outside the U.S., and over 300 of the sorority's members are in town for the weekend. Zeta Phi Beta's international president, Valerie Hollingsworth Baker, paid a courtesy call on the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister yesterday as they prepare to celebrate their 100th anniversary.
We're going to deal with infrastructure. We're going to deal with the way we do business internally. We're going to deal with our educational leg. We're going to be revamping programs. We're going to be unveiling our business strategic plans. We have so much to do. I guess our members are just going to be worn out by the time they finish. But we are just so happy and excited.
During the week of festivities, the sorority will also make a donation to the Ranfurly Home for Children. Margaret Roll is the president of the sorority's local chapter.
We are so excited to have Soror Valerie Hollingsworth Baker here. And we just wanted to have this press conference really to commemorate this historic event. This will be the first time the National Executive Board meeting is being held outside of the United States. And we are just so happy that we can be a part of this momentous occasion.
Still to come to our news, Bahamas Air adjusting its flight schedule to Abaco. Plus, the Minister of Tourism praising the increase in air arrivals. Stay tuned.